Okay, moving on. Next item, presentation by PG&E on community gas safety program.
Yes, and we have two speakers that are here this evening to, they will prompt me when I need to change something.
I wanted to thank the Commission for allowing us to speak today. My name is Anil Babar. I'm the Government Relations Rep for San Jose. We have our team here today to talk about our Community Pipeline Safety Initiative, an initiative to make sure that our pipelines in San Jose are safe and reliable for our customers. With me, I have Darren Kine, who's the manager of our program, and then our customer impact team, Liz Williams and Tony DeGrecchio. So at the end, if you have any questions, we have our team to answer those. Right now, I'll turn it over to Darren for the presentation. Thank you.
Good evening. I guess next slide. Oh.
Squeeze the handle a little pop.
Squeezing.
There we go.
Oh, I can stand up straight. Yes. My mother will be proud. Yeah, my doctor. Tonight we wanted to talk to you about I know you see PG&E a lot in your neighborhoods. We're doing a lot of work on our gas pipelines, and we wanted to reach out to you and build a collaborative relationship as we've been working in the neighborhoods. We want to take this time to reach out to you. I'm going to talk a couple minutes about building our safer, modern gas system. I'd like to take a few moments to talk about working together in San Jose and some of the partnerships and outreach that we're working towards. Next slide. To give you the big 50,000-foot view, more than 90% of our natural gas comes from outside our service territory. So that means there's two kinds of pipes. We have a transmission pipe, and that moves large volumes of natural gas at high pressure. We have about 6,750 miles of that transmission pipe. We also have 41,000 miles of distribution throughout our entire territory. Tonight, I want to focus on transmission systems. PG&E has not done the best job that we can in making sure that we have the safest pipeline in this country. And it has been our goal since the events of San Bruno that we will have the safest pipeline in the country. With that in mind, we have started to do several different things. And I just want to make sure we know the distinction between a transmission line and a distribution line. Next slide, please. When we talk about transmission lines are large pipes up to 42 inches. They move gas all over the place. That means they are over 60 psi, or pounds per square inch. When it is below 60 psi, that is where you'll see plastic piping that we use. And the big difference here when it comes to our transmission pipe is that we have to use steel. And steel has a tendency to corrode. And we take steps, we have cathodic protection and others so that that line won't corrode, but we need to constantly monitor our line. And we do that from the 5th floor in San Ramon. If you ever want to come take a visit, 24/7, we have people working there monitoring our line 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Next slide. So what we've been doing is we've been doing everything we can to test our line. We've earmarked roughly $3 billion to enhance pipeline safety with the goal of the safest, most reliable in the system. Next slide, please, Ernest. So what that means is we've been doing hydrostatic pressure testing. We run water in the line. You may have seen us dig into our pipe. We will run water through the line at pressures much greater than gas would ever be, and we'll see if there's any failures in the pipes or anything like that. We've been doing a lot of hydro testing throughout our entire territory, including here in San Jose. We do internal pipe inspection. I like those. My kids like those. We call them pigs. We run a robot through. The reason it's called a pig is because you can hear them squeal as they go through the ground. We have valve automation. We've been putting in valves so that we can shut off pipelines at a moment's notice from 5th floor in San Ramon. We do leak surveys. We do leak surveys all the time. You will be seeing, if you haven't seen it, well, let me put it this way. You know the Google cars that drive around? Well, we have blue ones. And what those cars do is they actually can smell methane coming from a pipe leak while driving down the road. They're called Picaro cars. So we've been running those, and in parts of our territory, they've proven to be really effective, so we're expanding it to our entire territory over the next couple of years. We also do aerial and ground patrols. We're constantly walking our line. We fly over our line a couple times a month, especially during construction season, to see if people are putting structures over the pipe. And we can also do leak detection and other things from the air from helicopters. Next slide, please. So what's been going on in San Jose? Well, we'd like you guys to know we have approximately 100 miles of gas transmission pipeline. We've done everything that we have talked about. If you could see this map, I know it's a little hard to see up here, but we have done some work on all transmission lines throughout San Jose. Ernest has a copy of the PDF if you want to take a closer look at it, and we can answer those questions. And you'll have my contact information as well as Liz and Anil's to get any more information. Next slide, please. What we are now starting to look at is we have ensured that our pipeline is safe, is we are looking at things that are on the area above the pipeline. We have actually found people that have built their homes over the pipeline. They have built swimming pools over the pipeline. Those are P1s. We have gone after those a couple of years ago. We've been in the process of moving homes, all at our expense, because we want to take responsibility for this work. As we've been doing that, we know that we have to keep in mind that we got to make sure that our first responders have access to the pipe in case of an emergency. And so we're looking now not only at those structures, but at vegetation above the line. Those are trees, bushes, etc. We need to make sure that this pipeline is maintained and that we work with the community so that they know that there's a pipeline there. We've had a lot of people been knocking down our pipeline markers. You know, we have an aggressive program where we can see line of sight with pipelines. We need to make sure that, you know, that we as a community know that that area is a pipeline, and we need to make sure that the vegetation that we're finding, not only it's not an impediment to first responders, but also that the tree roots right now we find are doing damage to the cathodic protection that goes around the pipes.
Your statement there, so that statement about tree roots do not damage?
Well, yeah, okay.
To ensure
Well,
that they
it's to
don't,
ensure.
Oh.
that trees don't.
To ensure that tree roots do not, got it.
The chart was a little awkward, I had to read
No,
it twice too.
it is awkward. It is awkward. I've asked to change it. I've been outvoted.
Well,
but
give them
I
the
think-
rules of your side
I'm
then,
going to
and
say,
you can
I've got
change
another vote, right? And I'm going to
We'll
take
take a
it.
motion.
Right, Larry? Okay.
it. You got some more votes here.
And so here, that's where we, you know, and as we're looking at this, we are noticing what's happening with trees going into electric vegetation and the coming down to the pipe. So we are looking for that clear visual, and we could go to the next slide. These are some things that we're finding. This picture is from our territory. We've had some trees where the roots will grow around the pipe. You can see the cathodic protection. That's why the pipeline looks rough. That's the cathodic, there's a covering on that pipe. And the one problem here that you see here is in a windstorm, this tree is going to wrench this pipe out. The other problem we run into, and I can share this picture with you another time, the tree roots will rub up against the cathodic protection, wear it out, and then we have corrosion. I do want to make sure that you guys know that of all the testing that we've done, we test cathodic protection every other month. So we don't see any immediate issues here in San Jose. But we do see future issues as we move forward. Next slide, please. So what we're trying to do right now is reach out to the community. As we encounter vegetation through the city, and we decide to replace trees, or, you know, and that's what we're talking about here. We will replace trees if we feel that a tree needs to be moved from the pipeline, or as we sit down and talk with the city and say, this tree is manageable near the pipeline, or this is unmanageable. We'll look at a lot of different things, and we're in the process of having people walk these lines and double check the threats that we have to our community pipeline. We are working with local firefighters and safety crews. This is Tim Main, I don't know if you've seen him around with CAL FIRE, he lives just south of here. But we want to reach out to the neighborhood associations, community leaders, environmental organizations, elected officials. Trees are a beloved thing. We are not coming in here and saying that we are not coming in here to tell you. We're here to work with you and talk to you about your neighborhoods as we look at the pipeline. We want to make sure that our community is safe, work with our first responders to decide what is safe and what we can do to keep the community whole as we are doing all of our gas line safety work.
So, do you replace the trees then?
Yes, yeah. We have mitigation options where if it is on private property, we will talk with the homeowner. We try to replant on the property. Some homeowners, it's up to them. We have not done any work, by the way, in San Jose. We are talking to everybody before we start any work. That's why I'm here tonight. Our options are, we want to replace the tree. Our city forest is working with us now as we are looking at these trees and saying, what can we do to keep tree canopy here in San Jose? We're trying to engage with many people that are really invested in this kind of stuff so that we do it right.
The reason I ask is in Sunnyvale along the Caribbean, there was a mile of trees on the line, and one day they just came by and chopped them all down. I figured it was because of your power line, or your gas line. They've never been replanted.
Right, and I don't know of that specific instance in
That was my
Sunnyvale.
commute to work, and it was so sad
But-
to see them go.
Yeah, you're not going to see us do that unless we have a demonstrated threat to the community, okay? And we will plant those trees outside of what we call the pipe zone, which is 5 feet on either side of the pipe. So we're not talking about, coming through, clear cutting, walking away. What we're talking about is saying, if this tree, we have to figure out what is the right tree and put it in the right place. And make sure that everybody around us understands what the right tree is and what the right place is. One of the disappointing things for me as I go through this is these large transmission lines, there are people that don't know they have this in their backyard. Now, they sign their closing documents. We have easements and those kinds of things, and you would think that they would have been informed, and they're not. And so we as a company have found that we need to inform these people. And the quickest way to inform them is through neighborhood associations, through the local, any kind of local contact to keep reiterating that there is a pipeline, we're keeping it safe. What can we, you want to put a tree in your backyard? Well, we want you to be able to come to our website and find out what is the right tree, what is the right place. If you're digging in your backyard, call 811 to dig. I'm going to say that 100 times. Call 811 to dig. I won't say it right here. That's what we're looking at. Next slide, because I think that's all right. Yeah, so like I said, we're partnering, and really, next slide, Ernest. We're looking to continue to share information. That's why we have Liz here and Tony. They both work in customer. They would like to talk to you or have any ideas of who we should be talking to as we do work throughout the community. This is ongoing work. This is stuff that we're going to be continuously doing. So we're looking to build a relationship, work together. Somebody's hearing about something they don't like when it comes to trees or landscaping. If we have to remove it, if we have to replace a tree, we will put in landscaping that works. Okay, we will restore at our cost, so that when we want to work with the community as to, well, if we have to restore some places, what do we all agree to? Next slide, please. And while you're asking questions, why don't you go to the next slide, because I think that has my phone number. Yeah, it's got mine and Nils and Liz, and really, that's the big view. So, yes, sir.
What are the cathodic issues you have to deal with?
With cathodic protection, that is, for people that don't know, we run an electrical current through the pipeline. And that electrical current keeps the pipe from corroding. There's a couple ways of doing it. One's an anode, it makes something else corrode instead of. that cathodic protection, that makes sure that that steel pipe stays the way it's been since, we've had, since that pipe has been put in.
Question.
Yes, sir.
PG&E came to our area. Barberry Lane, we have a strip park there with power lines ready to go through. They removed 5 trees, promising that they were going to replace them. As of today, this was a year ago, as of today, we have not seen no replacement of those trees that they removed. And I think one of them was a large pepper tree, which we understand that could be taken out. But we were told it would be replaced by certain other trees, yet it has not been done.
Okay. I'm ready. Barberry Lane.
Barberry Lane, right off of South King Road.
South King.
Yes.
Okay.
It's by close to the radio station.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
That's my personal contact information. I'd be happy
Thank
to
you.
look into that.
Thank you very much.
So I just say it's a nice, kind of refreshing change related to the trees, because a year ago the answer was that the CPUC was not requiring you to do it and would not be replacing trees. And so, in not wanting to go through the city permitting process on private property, it was basically, we have the right to do this and we're going to go do it. So I think the Sunnyvale thing is very much what was our fears.
Yeah.
And so I think, I'm glad you're here today and explaining the new direction, kind of the new attitude of how to deal with this, because trees are an important part of our community. In San Jose, we've tried to put the pipelines under the street, which means street trees disappear, which then make a really ugly street. And so to really get trees going back in and not putting shrubs in is going to be important, and that may mean, looking at how the street's put together and, a little bit more difficult solution, but doing the right thing.
Yeah, you have such a great tree culture here. When we were talking about mitigation with how could we replace trees, where would we do them? Our city forest was one of the first to jump up and say, well, you get us the trees, we'll plant, which saves money. And so we can plant more trees with what we have. And we are constantly looking for places now, as we look at some of the trees that we see are a threat to our community. We're looking for other places that we can replace that tree.
So is it a threat to distribution lines as well as the transmission lines?
No, this is only for transmission lines. Distribution lines are a whole nother thing.
Because they're
The
under the
threat is
middle of every
different.
street, aren't they?
Yeah, but we're dealing with different pressures, and that's huge. Okay, we're also dealing with plastic pipe versus steel pipe. One of the issues with steel pipe, and I wish that one day we could have plastic transmission lines, is with steel pipe there's condensation and the tree roots get attracted to them and they start to grow towards and rub up against the cathodic protection. There isn't any other option that we can do to be able to move gas into California. This is the only option we have, so we have to make it as safe as possible. And it's the only material we can use.
When did they switch to plastic pipes? I mean, 150 years ago, they had steel pipes. Are you replacing the old steel pipes?
Oh yeah, we've been replacing pipe on a consistent basis, and like I said, if Ernest wants to print out the map for you, I'll get you one that you can see better than the
I have a
screen.
9-year-old house, that's what I'm
No, yeah, so we are constantly replacing pipe. We have, with transmission and the threats to our community of higher than 60 PSI, we are constantly doing leak detection on that. We don't go a year without checking it, okay? The distribution lines are a little bit different because of the lower pressures, and our concerns there is just it's a different ballgame. The 60 PSI and higher, we all need to be aware of those lines. Somebody needs to be able to walk down the street and see a pipeline marker and say, oh yeah, it's because it's a large transmission line. We can keep everyone safe if we can all work together. Understand what we have in our neighborhoods, understand what you have when you buy a house. We're looking at ways of communicating with folks better about that as we move forward. Yes, ma'am.
How do you measure the safety and reliability of the system? And following that, what's your budget and what's your funding source?
So when it comes to gas pipelines in general, it depends on When it comes to funding source, what we're doing right now to make our pipeline safer since San Bruno, that is a shareholder program, it is not a rate holder. The payer program is a shareholder program. The program that we're currently under, we're going to spend somewhere around $3 billion ultimately. What we're working right now in this phase is roughly $500 million that we'll be spending of shareholder dollars. And
So we want to have the safest, most reliable gas system. And for such an enormous system and so much risk involved, how do you measure safety? How do you measure that it's the safest? How do you measure that it's most reliable and compared to what? I mean, obviously not catastrophic failures like San Bruno,
right.
obviously, but is it compared to, I mean, if there's a car going around and there's methane leaking, obviously that's always going to be happening. What is the acceptable risk there? And how do you know it's the safest and how do you know it's most reliable?
So we are following HIPAA guidelines, National Transportation Safety Board guidelines, all of those. A lot of things like CPUC, as Joe had mentioned, CPUC is not, there's a lot of stuff CPUC doesn't require us. We are requiring of ourselves at least a 10-foot clearance on either side, or sorry, 5 foot on either side, a 10-foot clearance around the pipe with acceptable vegetation above that, which is our right tree, right place program, right? We are constantly testing our lines with the inline tests. We do those inline tests, the pigging of the lines, we do those once every 7 years. And other tests that we do are more immediate. So like cathodic protection, we do that every other month. That's not a federal requirement, that's what we do. The federal government requires that we do leak surveys of transmission lines at least once a year. We're doing it about every 7 to 8 months. So we're trying to exceed the standards of everyone around us.
Thank you.
Dave?
I noticed on your first slide, you had transmission lines of different diameters and pressures.
Yeah.
And I imagine they run throughout the South Bay, or some of them do.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned a safety monitoring system that operates 24/7, so all this must be embedded in a computer system and mapped in very
Yes.
fine green
Yes.
detail.
Mm-hmm.
I understand kind of roughly that San Jose and many cities and agencies have multi-layer software mapping, everything from transmission line electrical height to load, to everything you can imagine in the infrastructure is a layer within a master system.
Yes.
Is everything that you have running in the Bay Area involved in those, embedded in those?
Yes.
In all, some, or most communities?
In all communities. We have done a centerline survey of our pipe so that we know exactly where it is. It's one of the nice parts of cathodic protection because we can GPS based on that electrical current that goes through the pipe.
Okay.
So we know where our pipe is, and we work with everyone to make sure that they know where our pipe is. So one of the things that we do, we have public safety specialists. They meet with fire chiefs twice a year. Okay, they come to San Jose, they run trainings, they go through what the maps are. You can go to our website and see the rough map of our pipeline. You will not see the exact down to the detail kind because there are certain safety considerations. You can also go to the National Transportation Safety Board. They have maps of our pipes. And then we sit down and we go to our first responders and we train them, we tell them where they can get maps, we supply them in PDF, we print them out for them. So we make sure that the folks that help to keep us safe know exactly where our pipeline is.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So with electricity, there's transmission lines and it goes to transformer stations, a couple in the city, and then they go out to high voltage lines and then down to each house. Is that the same thing with gas? You have a place where it goes from 900 PSI to 60 PSI? Or
Yes.
Is it one big step or is it done?
No, it's not one big step. It's done, we have certain substations, kind of like electrical, and that it brings the pressure down from the transmission level. down to distribution level, and then in certain areas, whatever we need that to be, we try to, when we're at the distribution level, we try to keep it at the lowest pressure possible because of any problems that could happen. And so that it's nothing catastrophic like St. Bruno can happen. It's the transmission lines with the higher PSIs that are our major concern. Yes, ma'am.
For this phase, for this $500 million, what are you guys losing sleep about? What's the biggest risk here in San Jose?
The biggest risk in San Jose.
What like immediately pops to mind?
Somebody digging in their backyard.
Somebody digging into, no, I mean, that's the, I'm sorry,
That's always
Joe.
it. That
No,
is
when you
always
say
it.
that, the number one problem, 95% of the pipeline problems that we have is people digging into our line. And it really gets to me when we've had somebody dig into our line in Fresno, and you can see the pipeline marker. They dug through the pipeline marker into the pipeline. Yeah, I mean, and that's where it's like, okay, did they not recognize the pipeline marker? Did they not, what is it, what can we do to educate the public so that they know what a pipeline marker looks like? And it's educating the public, doing our 811 call to dig. If you're gonna dig, call 811. They will come out for free, they will mark where the pipeline is, so that you will not have any problems when you dig in your backyard or plant a tree or any of that stuff, and that's free. All you gotta do is call 811, and we encourage everybody to do that. If you think you have a pipeline, please call them. They will let you know. They will come out, they will mark it, they will locate it. And that is our largest threat. And so for us, we are trying to make sure that there are clear line of sight on our pipelines, that people start to realize that there are these things in the community. And with the tools that we have, we're willing, as we do this work, we'll go door to door. We'll knock on people's doors. That's why we're spending this much money to do that, because we want to make sure everyone knows. Yes, sir.
South San Jose had some people shoot up the power transmission, electrical power.
Yes.
Activity there. So you got security issues with your transmission lines, and also what about cyber hacking? All this is being monitored and all that from San Rafael, wherever you said.
Yeah.
So what about your safeguards for somebody hacking into your system?
I know that we have several safeguards for cyber attacks. I personally don't know all of those details, but I'm more than happy to get that information for you. I just don't have them on me, and I can give you a better answer than saying I have confidence in the work that we do. We are constantly talking about cyber attacks, our own computer systems. I change my password like every other day. I mean, because we know that the greatest threat is the grid, and we do everything we can to protect it.
Your transmission lines, are those transmission lines exposed kind of like the power lines are? I don't know.
Oh, you mean the transmission pipes? Yeah. There are very few locations where the pipe is actually exposed. Usually when it's exposed, it's for a reason, and we do have security and stuff like that around, or it's a very remote location. You won't be able to look on a map and see if it's exposed or not. It's usually for a reason, and we know where those areas are, and we make sure first responders know those.
101. If you drive 101 and look in the hills, you'll see it.
Yeah.
Is it? It runs between the two hills in the Curly's?
Yeah.
What you call it, road?
Metcalf.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a whole flood of them.
Nicole?
Hi.
Sure.
I'm really passionate about this, so.
Sure.
On both ends of the spectrum, from the low-hanging fruit to the last impossible 3% of this project,
Yeah.
how does it span? What's the low-hanging fruit, and then what's that last piece that's just gonna be the hardest and most expensive and most painful?
I think that as we are in our cities, and you have a city like San Jose, and I've worked in a lot of municipal governments around the country, everybody is very concerned about climate change. They're concerned about tree canopies, canopy cover, and all that other stuff. And whenever somebody comes in and says, that tree is in the wrong place, they immediately go, but we have, all this that we're trying to do to help save the planet, and that kind of stuff. And I think that we're gonna have a hard time, convincing people that there is a certain level of safety that we have to have in this community, and we're going to put the right tree in the right place. There are going to be a lot of people that are going to be reluctant to do that because of their memories of their tree in their house that they put their swing in. that's why we have we're talking with first responders all the time so that we can help educate people about that threat. And I think that public education really is the number one thing for us.
Okay. So, sorry, what's the super easy part and what's the super hard?
Oh, the super easy part.
If there is one.
No, there is no real super easy part
know.
because we're talking about
Right.
what streetscapes look like and everything else. But there are a lot of people that see the threat and they call us up and say, what can I do? Please replace the tree in my backyard. And so for us, you know, we're out there to do the work. This is at our cost. It's not a ratepayer cost, like I said. So we do have a lot of people that do understand the community safety aspect. And we do have a lot of people that go, you know, I don't want to be responsible for my neighbor. Please, you know, come out. And when they see the size of the transmission pipes and stuff like that, when they come to that realization, those folks are pretty quick to say, what is acceptable vegetation, what is right tree, right place.
Thank you.
Linda?
I do have a question, but first I'm going to tell you that I was raised in San Bruno, so every time you keep saying San Bruno,
I'm sorry.
It's and we had some high school friends that lost their homes up in West North there, so it was pretty scary for us when we heard about it. Anyway, my question is, what do you want us to do? I have a meeting next week with my little community group. What should I say to them?
Well, we'd like people to be aware. I would like you to talk with Liz, and we can get you information, especially about call to dig, 811, call to dig. And even if somebody's redoing a flower bed, call. And I would love for her to have a conversation with you and talk about, you know, where exactly your neighborhood is and those kinds of things and what we can do to help educate the town.
Okay.
And that's what we're here to do. I don't know if anybody from PG&E has ever been in front of you guys to come and talk and have a conversation about this. And that's why it was important to me is you know, living in California, it's just the neighborhoods, as we go through these neighborhoods, I want to make sure that everybody knows that they have somebody that they can talk to. And you know, it's a personal thing to me, but it's also a company thing. You should always have somebody that you can talk to, and we need to talk to the neighborhoods as we do this work.
Do you coordinate with other services? So when the water company goes through and digs up a street to put in the water pipe, do you say, well, let us replace the gas line at the same time? Are they close to each other?
If we find those opportunities and if they are close to each other, we don't work in water. I wish that there was better coordination, but we do our best with what we can. Santa Clara, we've been having really good coordination because they have a big event coming. So we try, and whenever a big event's coming, there seems to be better coordination.
Robert?
Yes,
Oh, sorry, Robert.
I got to commend PG&E and their tree trimming process. They were in our area for about 3 days on the park strip trees, and they trimmed where the power lines are going, through them. They trimmed them very nice.
Great.
And I
Thank you.
talked to the 2 crew members that were there, and they said, hey, we do this just about 7 days a week. Our bodies are tired, but anyway, it's a true thing that they are doing a fantastic job on trimming those trees right over the power lines.
Great, thank you. I appreciate it, Robert.
David?
Yes, sir.
I live in Willow Glen, and within the last few years, they've done some deep work because of street water, drainage, sewer, and now water, redoing water lines, a lot of construction. What kind of working relationship do you have with the various agencies of the city and contractors that are doing that kind of below ground work? And how does that work?
We have relationships when it comes to coordinating all of those kinds of services. I can't speak directly to that. I would have to get you more information on how contractors work. We do our best to work with all the folks around us. When we talk about for example, the the work that we're going to be doing with keeping our pipeline safe, we go to the city and start asking them, these are the areas we're looking at, what other things are you considering, how can we best work together? For example, we were in a community where they are widening a road 6 months from now, and we figured out a way to remove some of the trees that are unmanageable, but keep some manageable trees, and when it comes time to widen the road, then we will come and replace those trees at a new site. So the work is really being done kind of at the same time. I will tell you, in our program, if we see a tree that's unmanageable and we feel is a threat to the community, we will work with the community to replace that as soon as possible. And if we can get it 10 feet away from the pipe or something like that as quick as possible, we will do that. So we're balancing safety and efficiency of work as best we can.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, those things, pipes.
Pipes can be exposed, like I said, above ground. But in San Jose, they run roughly between 30 inches underground to 80 inches underground. Yeah, 30 inches to 80 inches is usually is about where it's at. I can't get more specific than that, but
Boy, that's in your backyard.
yeah.
And are you working on Almaden or Coleman Avenue right now, replacing gas pipes?
Not that I can think of, but I can look into it for you
Yeah.
and see what they're doing.
They're huge, they're big things.
That was Coleman, right?
Yeah, Coleman Avenue and Almaden. In
Okay. Is that it?
Just from a staff information sake, it's a city of 1 million customers,
Yes.
million residents. I maintain a database of 200 plus neighborhood associations throughout the city.
Can you use the microphone?
I'm starting to compile a list of about what I guesstimate is about 200 HOAs, homeowner associations, which we currently don't have a database on. So that's at least 400 plus organized neighborhood groups of some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Do you outreach to neighborhood groups? Would you like to outreach to individual neighborhood groups?
Yes, we would. Ernest, I would love to introduce you to your new best friend. That's what we're trying to do. We see a lot of the HOAs and neighborhood associations and everything else. We want to make sure that we are doing responsible reaching out to them. And so we decided one of the first things we should do is come to you guys and have that conversation, have a certain strategy of what's the best way to reach out. We have been doing some research on HOAs. We'd love to share that with you. Maybe it matches up with your database, maybe it doesn't. We have talked to some that are customers, et cetera. But we would love to have that conversation with you and see if we can work together to keep people informed.
Yeah, I know that the state has a registry of the HOAs locally, so we're trying to compile that information for communication purposes. But the database that we maintain is for outreach purposes on projects, and I think this may fit in nicely. What I'm going to do is check in with to make sure that I may have to redact some of the information because there's personal contact information on there. But let me check and let's keep in touch, because I think it may be, as far as the commission goes, that's how we outreach to a lot of your neighborhood groups, is to go ahead and be some assistance in some way, shape, or form, particularly in terms of your, because some neighborhood associations may want to have an individual presentation if the impact is local for them, and this might be a good way to go ahead and connect you up with them.
That would be great. Thank you.
And your presentation is available?
Yes, Ernest has it. However, you wanted
Are
to
you
send
posting
it.
on the city website, or? do you just-
I can probably on the city website, let me talk to Lenka Wright, our Assistant Director of Communications. I'll certainly send this out to you guys, so you guys have it for your own use and your newsletters and things like that.
Send it, then I'll post it on ours, but.
Okay, I'll give me a day or so then.
Okay.
Send it out.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,